So, good morning, everyone. So, a small part of work power energy is power, which we have not completed the previous session. So, we'll spend a little time on this on power part. And see, I think the power, if we know how to calculate work done, you can as well calculate power. What is power? Rate at which work is done. So if we know work done is equal to what is work done equal to, we can write for a small displacement, we can write work is F dot dr. So if I have to calculate power, rate of work done, instantaneous rate of work done, that would be equal to this. If I differentiate for a small time, this but force can be taken as constant, dr by dt is nothing but v. So what is power? Power is a dot product between force and velocity. If velocity is changing, it means power is constantly changing with time. If velocity is uniform, power which is yeah, this is something you can calculate. So power dot velocity, force is acting. And actually what will happen, force is acting, velocity will not remain constant. So this instantaneous power, and we can, some cases is we also come across average power. Let's see how do we go across. So it's only a dot product. And this something is done on a unit time rate at which work is done. So let's look at even something like car and all also. We all know all vehicles which run, it consumes certain power. And some of you are very keen about kind of power different types of cars have. So we are not going to those kind of racing cars which have which zooms into say 8 seconds, 7 or 8 seconds, achieves a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. It's a normal car, a car of mass 2 metric ton. So mass of car is 2000 kg, which is a bit on the higher side. Most cars are lighter. This small cars are about 1000 kg or so. Is moving up a smooth inclined plane. So this is hypothetical. A smooth incline means the friction is very small, very smooth road, with the velocity of 72 kilometers per hour. It means velocity is constant. Utilizing its full power. If the rated power of the engine is 8 kilowatts, it means it's consuming so much of power. What is the angle of incline? So what are things we notice here? Okay, it is moving up the plane and it is moving at a constant velocity. If it is moving at a constant velocity, it means kinetic energy of the car is not changing. And the kinetic energy is not changing, it means net work done or is zero, or if we call what is net work done each second, which becomes power. So net power supplied to this car also is zero. Why is that so? If net power is zero, so if more than one force is doing work, one is doing positive work, other is doing negative work, net has to come to zero. So that's what it has to come to. Let's identify how the work is being done. So what you notice here, if you visualize this car, so this inclined plane, so that's what you need to find angle of inclination theta in radian. And this is, we depict the car like a dot here, is moving up the slope, velocity is v. What are the forces acting? When it moves up, once we know is gravity is doing work. Of course, gravity force is acting, and there's a displacement. So there's a power rate at which gravity is doing work is this dot product of gravitational force and velocity. Thus, work done by gravity per unit time. So there's another work done, which is second part of work done, which is difficult to understand and difficult to calculate also. What makes it little easy, a total work done in unit time is zero. That makes a little easier what is the rate of work done by the car engine. The two things are doing work. Car is doing work, so rate of work done by the car engine plus rate of work done by gravity has to be equal to zero. It means power supplied by the engine and power of gravity has to be equal and opposite, which is, this one is easy to calculate. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's equate those terms here. Power of the car, rate at which car engine is doing work is 8000 joules in a second. That has to be equal to rate at which gravity does work, and it becomes negative. Okay, the negative of gravitational force into velocity into cos of angle between them. So whenever we take angle between two vectors, always keep in mind we must place them tail to tail. If this angle is theta, of course the angle between them becomes 90 plus theta, cos of 90 plus theta, and the cos of 90 plus theta, again it becomes equal to sine theta. So this term is equal to minus sine theta. So minus minus becomes plus. It becomes mg into v into sine theta. But this angle is small here. For a small angle, sine theta can be taken as a theta itself. And so we have just replaced the sine theta with theta. So this is your m term, g term, velocity term, and this is equal to sine theta term. So from here we can find the angle of incline, right? Two more questions on power. A body of mass m is accelerated uniformly. Uniformly accelerated, it means force which was acting on the object was also constant. Then only you get uniform acceleration. A is constant, force is constant. From rest to speed of v in time t, it is uniformly accelerated. What is the instantaneous power delivered to the body as function of time? So if the force is constant, if constant force is applied, will the force do power supplied by the force also will be constant, or will it keep changing? So let's try and understand that one, and we see some other example also of the same. So let's see, we have to calculate. Let's start back from here. We need to calculate power delivered at a particular random time t. We need to calculate what is the power. So what do we need to calculate power? Power, for calculation of power, we need force and we need velocity. So from here we need force and we need velocity. And force is not given, but since velocity and time is given, we can find out acceleration and velocity. So what is power equal to? So where we have to calculate power is a unidirectional motion. So unidirectional motion, F dot V will actually be equal to FV, and F is equal to MAV. That's what we need to calculate here. This is constant here. So only V we have to find as a function of time. As simple as that. So fairly simple question here. Power is equal to FV, unidirectional motion, the cos theta terms becomes 1, which is MAV. So what we need to find acceleration here, so if we, from rest achieves the speed v in time t, it means acceleration is v by capital T. So that's why we substitute power as a function of time. Acceleration is v by capital T. If that is acceleration, velocity at time will be equal to AT. Acceleration is v by capital T into small t. Understand difference between the small t and capital T. Capital T is a constant here. The small t is a variable value. So that's the power, how it will vary. So what we notice here, the power supplied is a function of time. Even the force is constant. And just if you want to relate it to something else, you can also think of, see, if an object of mass m is dropped from great height. So what will happen here also? It will gain kinetic energy because of work done by gravity here. And different instances, gravity, the rate at which gravity do work will keep on changing. So during first second, it will do different amount of work. Second will do different amount of work, and third second it will do different amount of work. So if we have to calculate work done, see, force is same here. So during first second, work done by gravity is equal to displacement in the first second. During second it will equal to force is constant, displacement in the second and displacement in the third second, and displacement in first second and in the second and in the third second are in the ratio of 1:3:5. It means whatever work gravity does in first second, it will do 3 times more work, it does 5 times more work. So the power supplied also is constantly changing. If I have to calculate average power in first second vis-a-vis average power in the second and average power in the third second, that also will be ratio 1:3:5. It is something similar. So some of you might think it sounds little counterintuitive. If force is constant, why is power varying? Just imagine that suppose you have a kind of let's say a cart. It could be baby cart also, it could be pram kind of thing. So what happens if your car is at this cart is at rest? You start applying a force here. What will happen initially when you apply the force? It will start speeding up. You'll notice first second you'll be running slowly, and yes, your speed will keep on increasing. Second you'll be running faster. Third second you'll be running even faster. So even though the force is constant, you will find more and more difficult to maintain this force and keep the contact with the cart in the first as the time progresses. So what is happening? Even the force is constant, the velocity is increasing. It takes more effort. It takes more energy to keep applying this force, constant force on that moving object. That's the reason power also has to keep on increasing. It consumes more energy to maintain that force. Engine pumps a liquid of density D. This is fairly common in households also. Those who have water sump in the ground floor, even otherwise also, or municipal supply work on a pump. So pump also does work. It has certain power. So just like car engine, even pumps also have power rating, and of course, all those will have some efficiency as well. It pumps a liquid of density D continuously through pipe of area cross section A. So there's a pipe here. The pipe has a cross section area A. And this is cylindrical pipe. It has cross section area A, and it is pumping liquid of density D, which passes through a pipe. Velocity is V. So it is pumping through this pipe. What is the rate at which kinetic energy is being imparted to the liquid? Or same question I can ask, what is the kinetic energy of liquid which is passing through a cross section in 1 second? So I can say what is the energy, kinetic energy crossing in a second, okay, or rate of energy crossing a particular cross section. So how would you calculate? That is something we have done something similar before in case of momentum also, like a water jet. So this also something similar. So what is kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 mv square. But here we are talking about what is the mass which is passing through. Let's say delta m mass passes through time in delta t into v square. What would we call this term as? I can call this term as mass flow rate. Mass flow rate. We have seen this earlier, and we should be familiar with this term. Okay, so this is mass flow rate, mass which is passing through in unit time, and mass flow rate is equal to density into volume flow rate, and volume flow rate is area of cross section into velocity. So thus the energy which is crossing in unit time, rate at which kinetic energy is passing through the cross section. That's what it is. So, and where from this energy is coming? If water is flowing through the pipe, if initially it is coming for water sump, it means this energy has been imparted to the flowing water by the pump. So power of the pump is equal to kinetic energy of liquid flowing through the cross section of the pipe in a second. What we are assuming, it is not lifting from deep level. Otherwise, you have to add that energy also. And what is the energy which is passing through? Mass flowing per unit time. Sorry, 1/2 into mass flowing per unit time into velocity square, which will be equal to mass flow rate. I missed the term 1/2. 1/2. This is which is kinetic energy which is flowing through. And what we notice here, it comes as V cube. It's not V square. And there was a question in JEE Advanced in the past on very similar terms. Only thing what happened, the wording of question was slightly changed. All of us seen a wind turbine. Wind turbine also, how does wind turbine work? It's the reverse of the pump. What pump does, it uses electrical energy to impart kinetic energy to liquid here, which is water, or it could be some other liquid also. Even oil are also, oil and the oil pipeline also is being pumped by a pump through pipeline through pumps. Wind energy works exactly in the reverse direction. What happens in case of wind energy? You would have seen it's like a fan kind of thing. Those blades are there, and air particles, which is wind. If it is if wind is blowing at a speed of v, wind will have certain density, and there's a certain cross section of windmill. Okay, so this area of cross section also, but this is like a circular cross section, area of cross section A. So how much energy is passing through the cross section of the windmill? This also is very similar. Energy of air molecules or air which is passing through cross section of the windmill will be equal to 1/2. M is mass flow rate. Mass flow rate is density into area into V, and kinetic energy 1/2 mv square. It is proportional to cube of the velocity. So that's the energy which is flowing through. If entire energy after passing through this windmill, if air comes to rest, it means its entire kinetic energy has been taken away by the windmill, which may not happen, but only a major fraction is taken away if this velocity was v. If the velocity becomes v/2 here, it means how much energy it has lost. Whatever initial energy the wind was coming with, it is going out with 1/4 of the current energy. It means 3/4 of the energy of wind, which was passing through the windmill, has been used up. So what is the energy, which rate at which energy it can generate? If the rate at which energy generation is proportional to incoming energy, it is proportional to, it is proportional to VQ. And so wind power generated is proportional to cube of velocity. Not, and you can understand also. See, kinetic energy is proportional to V square. But as the wind velocity increases, the mass of wind which will pass through in a second also increases. So when we factor both of them, the wind power generated is proportional to cube of the wind speed. Let's look at one more question. Yes, Signesh?
Sure, I didn't understand how the rate at which kinetic energy changes in this case. How is it the power of the pump, sir?
Now, you see, if the water is at rest, there's a pump. See, let's see, there's a water tank here, and there's a pump here, and there's a pipeline here. So what happened?
So it's initially at rest.
This is initially at rest. So what is happening here? So in a second, what I find here, if mass flow rate is certain mass dm in time delta t, which was here, has moved here. Which was here, it was zero kinetic energy, here it has some kinetic energy. So what has happened during this time, the mass which was, so not entire mass, only in time delta t, I find only certain mass is transferred. And how much is transferred in time delta t? It is same equal to mass which is flowing through any cross section in time delta t.
Yes, I got it, sir.
So what is the assumption you're making? Actually, you're making a couple of assumptions. What are assumptions you're making? Initially, the water is at rest and it is at the same level. There's no energy spent in raising it to certain height. That's a different type of question. There's some type of questions are like this also. So if I have a pump here and the pump is at height of h here. Okay, and from here, and if from here I pump this water, and here also the water is coming out with the velocity v, area of cross section is a, density of water is rho. In that case, what will be the work done? What will be the power of the pump now? Can we calculate power of the pump here? In this case, what is happening? The energy which being imparted to water is not only kinetic energy, there's a potential energy also. How much potential energy are we imparting here? Potential energy also is equal to delta m by delta t into Ga to h plus 1 by 2 delta m by delta t into V square. That's energy being given. So what is delta m by delta t? That I can substitute as density into area into V into GH plus 1 by 2 rho A V cube. Thus the power of the pump, if the pump is raising the water from a lower level, as well as, so two things are happening. In time t, the water which is here, yes, basically this, when it's reaching here, it is gaining kinetic energy as well as potential energy. Is this clear?
Yes, sir. But in case of the turbine, sir, it depends even on the final velocity.
Yeah, this turbine when it's working. Yeah, so
Yes,
just imagine if there's a wind turbine, if you check the speed of air on the incoming side and down, we may call it upstream side and downstream side. Do you think we'll find the speed of air to be same?
no, sir.
No, see what happens, just think of a fan also. Fan is reverse. The fan what we use at home, you just stand in the front of the fan and behind the fan. You notice a difference? Why the difference has come? Turbine exactly reverse. So turbine would be, if you stand behind the turbine, it would like a fan. If the wind is blowing at a good speed, when you come the fan, it has slowed down. Because what happened, all air molecules have hit this blades of the turbine. It has made the turbine blades, it has imparted the kinetic energy in form of rotational energy of the turbine, and it has lost its kinetic energy. The wind will slow down. That's what happens in case of turbine. So question which had come in advance was fairly simple. So what is the, if power generated is proportional to energy of wind which is passing through the turbine, which power of velocity will the power generated be proportional to? So what you need to, many times power, immediately people think of V square. No, it is not V square, it is V cube. And you should understand also Y cube, why V cube. Because there's a mass flow rate also changes. I hope this point also understood by Radham.
Yes.
Bhageshri, have you followed this point?
Yes, sir.
No, so what we need to understand here, where all energy is being imparted. So in this case, only kinetic energy being imparted. Here it is potential energy also gains and kinetic energy also is gained. Yes, Allah?
Yes, sir, the water has to be acyclated first, right? In the question, the water has to acquire some velocity.
Yes, of course. The water has to see when we talk about when we use the work energy theorem. In many cases, there's something happening in between. But when we look at, basically when object slides down inclined plane, do we bother about what is the change in acceleration? So suppose it starts with velocity 1 here, it comes with velocity 3. Do I need to worry where all the what acceleration is happening? If I have to calculate total work done, we don't have to worry. Exactly the same thing here. Yes, it has to be accelerated. That's why it is gain. You cannot acquire kinetic energy without acceleration somewhere. Yes, so it will get accelerated, and perhaps what is happening in between is a little more complex, but still I think more or less this holds good. So what you need to look at, if you want to understand better, you try to draw a picture of the way we draw a picture in case of Bernoulli's theorem. Draw a picture at certain time t, and draw a picture at t plus delta t, and then understand what change has taken place in time delta t. That will give you better understanding how to calculate the change in time delta t. Because all these things in between remain same. So basically, change happens here. We look at the change here and this end and at this end here. So what has happened? This water level has gone down a little bit, and here this acceleration happened. In between, they will have the same velocity. It is steady state. So we need to learn that part also. Ahlad, are you following what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So this part, is it changing in time delta t? This part is not changing. So what you'll notice here, it will appear as if some quantity of water, the water level will go down. And where would this appear? There'll be decrease in some water volume here, and there'll be increase in water volume in the pipe here. So it will appear as if this quantity has been transferred here. That's what you need to look at. In between remains the same. That's how we solve question, and that's how we analyze things. Okay. One more question here, a car of weight W, and you'll notice here, if a car has a particular power, when we go up the incline, even if you use the full power, it moves at a slower speed. And while going down, if you use the entire power, it may speed up too much. So what we do in coming down, you use only part of the power. How we control power of the what fraction of car power is used? By use of accelerator. So with the accelerator, we control what fraction of power is put to use. So it is somewhat a similar idea here. So car of weight W is on inclined plane that rises by 10 meter over a distance of 1 kilometer. So what is this? This is equal to 10 meter over a distance of 1000 meter. So what is the slope is equal to? Slope is equal to, in terms of radian, 1 by 100. So tan theta and sine theta both can be taken as 1 by 100 in this case. And it applies a constant frictional force when the car is moving upwards. And because of frictional force, friction typically, I think what is more dominant is air friction when the car moves. The friction force is acting, and of course, friction force will always be taken as opposite to velocity, is W by 2 on the car, while moving uphill on the road at a speed of 10 meter per second. So this uphill, it is moving at the speed of 10 meter per second. Car needs a power P. Can we calculate this power P? Yes, we can calculate the power P. So power is equal to rate of work done by the friction plus rate of work done by the gravity plus the power of the car will be equal to 0, because it is moving at a constant speed. We have done a similar question. So car moves at constant speed, means rate of work done by engine plus rate of work done by gravity plus rate work done by friction force has to be equal to 0. These two will be negative, because this also displacement is opposite to negative. So essentially, rate of work done by engine is equal to magnitude of work done by gravity plus friction force. But these two terms will come negative. So why would this come negative? This is the gravity is acting here. So if this angle is theta, again, like similar previous question, this angle becomes 90 plus theta. So cos 90 plus theta, it becomes equal to sine theta and negative value. Okay, so let's calculate the vertical component of velocity. Other way of, unlike last time, I can also do, we can take vertical component of velocity. No, so rather than cos theta, I take the vertical component. If velocity is v, vertical component will be equal to v sine theta, and sine theta is 1 by 100. So vertical component velocity is v by 100. So gravitational force is downward, vertical component is in the opposite direction. The work done will be equal to mg into v by 100. That's another way we can interpret, similar to what we had done in case of work done. We can calculate either cos theta or take the component of either displacement along the force or force along the displacement. Now, so moving up, there's a power. work done by gravity, this term into component of velocity, vertical component, which is v by 100, minus the friction force into velocity. Friction force velocity also 180 degrees. So this is the term here. So I substitute all the values, rate of work done by the engine minus this becomes, this term is W into V by 100, V is 10. So this becomes 1 by 10. So this becomes W by 10. And this friction force is W by 20, velocity is 10. It gives me the power in terms of weight. Okay, so the distance term is already there. So you may appear like it is dimensionally not consistent, but we have used some value as numerical number. So this relationship only in SI unit, power is equal to 0.6 times weight in terms of magnitude. Now, if it going downhill and it's using P by 2 power. So whatever power is available, now downhill is using half the power. What is the constant speed it will move with? That's what we need to calculate. What we are assuming here is still the friction force remains same. So now it is moving at a different speed downstream. What will change when it is moving down the slope? The friction force is still opposite. But what will happen? The gravity force also will start doing positive work. So this term, which was negative here, it will become positive. This term will remain negative. So moving downhill, if you write the equation, that's the rate at which the engine is doing work, half the power. But gravitational work, which component is, this will become positive. Weight into component of velocity. Now component of velocity becomes is positive, and minus the friction force, we can calculate velocity. So this is a few questions on power, fairly straightforward topic, and I hope all of you followed so far. Okay, so this is all we had in case of power. Okay, now